know what time it is. Professor Matt Ryan, a.k.a. Professor Matty Ice, to hand out some of those grades we saw on Sunday, and we'll break down some of those teams, Matt. Let's start with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, maybe proving that he is that QB1 we thought he would be in Philly.
They get an A from me. That was a dominant performance from them. Outside of that first drive of the game, they were excellent. And, came out, got the job done when they needed to, came in. It was a desperate ball game. It felt like they had to get that win and took care of business. So I give them an A. Speaking of desperation, that did not pan out for the Bengals here. What do you give them? That's a D. It's a D, right? They had to have it too. Get back to 500. They still got a chance that last spot in the AFC, I think, could be a team that wins 8, maybe 9 games. But the inability to stop the Eagles' offense, the defense struggled. Offense just couldn't get the ball in the end zone after that first drive. And so it was a D for me for the Bengals.
Lamar Jackson said yesterday after his team lost that any given Sunday a team can beat another team. Ravens finding that out yesterday. So what do they get?
They get a C, and had they just caught that, Kyle Hamilton just caught that as probably a B for me, right? Going up there, getting the job done, division game, you can throw it out. But it's a C, for them. Felt like they had the opportunity to close that ball game out, didn't get it done.
So then the Browns, surprising everyone, coming back, getting the win, what do they get then?
I give him an A. I give him an A. And I give Jameis an A++ for the post-game interview and the pre-game speeches. So the Browns get an A for me for yesterday.
Does Jameis give any extra added boost or extra credit for maybe dropping the M&M bars or something?
Yeah, dropping the M&M bars. I heard you guys dropping the M&M bars. Brandon didn't really want to go there at all, but it's all good. Yeah, that's fine.
No. I'll leave that to the pros. But speaking of M&M, his team, Detroit, the Lions, thoughts on what they got?
That's an A. I mean, absolutely, they can beat you any way they want, right? And so yesterday, special teams were huge in that ball game. They ran the football well. Defense is playing good. I think they're playing the best football in the NFL right now.
And the Titans in that matchup on the opposite side of the Lions, what'd you see from them?
It's like a D for me because honestly, the defense played all right. The offense, turned it over a little bit, but they played okay. The special teams were awful, though. Special teams for them were awful. So it's a D for the Titans.
A last-second win for the Cardinals coming down to South Florida, spoiling the return for Tua. So what does Arizona get?
I give them a B+. It's just a sneaky good football team, right? Sitting at 4-4. Kyler Murray kind of scrambling around, making plays, over 300 yards in the passing game. B+, good win for them. And they're quietly just keeping themselves in the mix in the NFC.
Dolphins maybe looked a little better than they've looked now with Tua coming back, but that doesn't get you what?
It's a B-, right? For how poorly they have played kind of up until this point. Tua comes back. They're better offensively. Had chances to win that football game, but ultimately don't get the job done. I think there's reason for optimism there. Again, that wild card spot, that kind of 7th spot in the wild card, I think will be interesting, but they look better offensively. It's a B- for me.
Staying in that same division, the Jets, I know you were very vocal about them and what you saw with them yesterday. Thoughts on them this morning in that grade?
This was a pass-fail game, right? They needed to pass or not, and they failed. And so it's an F, in my opinion. They've tried hard, and I kind of said it yesterday. They've made every move they can make. There's no more moves to make, maybe outside of changing kickers, but they had to get the job done, and they couldn't do it. Disappointing performance from them, and, that's a fail. Pass-fail, that's a fail.
If you have to give Aaron Rodgers a grade by himself and what you've seen so far, and, of course, yesterday, what would it be?
I mean, honestly, Aaron was okay. Gave them an opportunity to win that ball game. The numbers were fine, right? The defense, to me, is what was disappointing. You have a chance to close that ball game out in the last drive of the game against Jacoby Brissett, who comes in for the injured Drake May. He got benched a couple of weeks ago and takes the football right down the field, throwing it and running it. For all the talent that they have on that defense to not be able to close out, that was the issue to me. I thought Aaron played okay.
So Aaron played good. You just mentioned Brissett, the Patriots, they got the W. So where are we falling with them?
Yeah, I mean, to me, New England, this is a solid B. This was a solid B. Probably higher if you've beaten a team with a better record. But given kind of all of the circumstances, being called soft by the coach and Gerard Mayo the week before to come out, respond, 4th and goal, pound it in, it's a solid B for me. Good win.
So now we can go to the NFC South. We can quote another rapper, walk in your trap and take over your trap, Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, and they are getting what?
Kirko Chains and the Falcons, they get a B+. I think it's a good win on the road. Obviously, Tampa had a ton of guys out, right? But they got the job done. Good win for the Falcons to stay on top of the NFC South.
The Bucs then on the other side.
B-. Or actually, I think I gave them a B. I think I gave them a B here. I'll go with the B. Given all of the guys that they had out offensively, Baker played tough. I thought the defense played tough. Somebody had to win this game. It was close. So they get a B for me.
By the way, Matt, it's Kirk Cudden. That's what we call him around here when he plays really good. Kirk Cudden. We got the grilling. That's what we do nowadays. How about the Packers? Same situation. 2 quarterbacks in that one. Your thoughts on them in that grade?
B+. And, I think the Jags have struggled most of the year, but to go down, get the win with Jordan Love going to the sideline, Malik Willis comes in again. In 2.5 games that he's played, they're 3-0, right? He started the 2 games. He finishes the half of that ball game yesterday. They get the win. I think that's a solid B+ for the Packers.
Jags didn't look pretty at all, and it's been that way the whole season. Where do they fall for you on that grading scale?
I think it's a B-, and it's probably scaled up given that I just don't think they're that good, but they were competitive in that game yesterday. B-, B- for me.
So you get the Colts and Texans. The Anthony Richardson fan in me wants to see him play better, but the Colts, for their entire efforts, where are they landing?
To see, I think that game was. They're playing pretty good everywhere else, and the inconsistency from Anthony Richardson, I think, is holding them back right now. Tough loss versus Houston in division down there, but that's a C performance from the Colts yesterday.
Just real quick, I'm curious when you hear Anthony after the game say he was tired, that's why he had to go out. Like your thoughts on hearing a QB say that and admitting to it.
Well, I never ran that much, and so my cardio was probably never tested in the same way that he has. But honestly, I was saying this to Coach Cowher in the studio yesterday. I don't really remember ever seeing it. I don't remember ever seeing a quarterback tap themselves out in that situation. They go with the draw play the next play. I mean, it's probably what they would have done anyhow. So that was a head scratcher for me.
Yeah, a head scratcher. Maybe the Texans are able to just squeak out the win and maybe not looking like as powerful as what they have been, but where are they landed?
It's a B, right? You win in this league, you win in division. You're always kind of moving in the right direction. I agree with you. I think the last couple of weeks they have not looked as potent on the offensive side of the ball as they have in other weeks during the season, but they find ways to win. And ultimately, that's what you got to do. They're kind of biding their time to get Nico Collins back. I don't think they've been the same in the passing game since he's been gone. And so it's just a B effort for me for the Houston Texans yesterday.
How about the Saints? Only 8 points yesterday from New Orleans. You're great on them.
That's a C. Probably could have been a little worse, but they've kind of had the injury bug too. And it's hard, right? When you have multiple guys going down, it is hard to replace, no matter how many times people say it's the next man up, it's hard to replace good players. And they haven't been able to do that. So that's a C for me from the Saints.
If you're Dennis Allen, the head coach there in New Orleans, you had so many expectations when we saw the first 2 weeks. Is that seat kind of getting hot now based on what we've seen?
It's definitely warm. I think it was probably warm, at least from the fans' perspectives, even after last season, right? And, they come in and they start with those 2 explosive games. And then really from there's been an absence of offense. And so, we'll see. I'm not one to put. I don't think it helps making changes during the middle of the year. I've gone through that a couple times as a player. I just don't think it pans out well when you make those kind of changes. So, I don't think they should do anything midseason, but I think that seat's getting warmer and warmer as the year goes on.
All right, so the Saints get that C. The Chargers on the opposite side getting that W. What do you got for them?
That's a B plus. I think they're playing good defense. I mean, I think they're averaging 13 points a game allowed on the defensive side of the ball. So they're playing really good defense. The passing game's starting to come along for the Chargers, which I think is encouraging to see. And they're always going to run it well. When you've got a coach like Jim Harbaugh, they're going to be physical. They're going to run the ball well. Thought it was a solid effort yesterday. B plus.
Bills go to Seattle. They win by 21, so that earns them a what?
A. Hard place to win. Seattle coming off, a really good road win against Atlanta, and they just took the air out of that game early, right? They had it from the start, really took the momentum and dominated that game right from the start. So that's an A. From the Buffalo Bills, and their gap in the AFC East continues to grow. Yeah,
so then on the other side, you see the Seahawks really not competing like what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a C. I think they're playing a good football team. I think that Buffalo is starting to kind of find their stride. Disappointing effort. They kind of looked out of sorts. Hey, guys fighting on the sidelines, so it probably could be a little bit worse. But given that they're playing against the Bills and it's a good football team, I give them a C.
Broncos 5-3 under the Sean Payton era. What grade do you give them?
All right, Broncos, they're an interesting one to me. I give them an A-. Obviously going against the Panthers, as probably an A performance yesterday from the offense. Defense was pretty good, but it's against the Panthers, so you can't get a full A. I give them an A-.
All right, it's like a gen ed course, just one of those easy A's. You just need, to bring that GPA up. Everybody
GPA booster.
Yeah, that's
GPA
exactly.
booster.
On the opposite side, the Panthers can't help their GPA, so what do you give them?
I know. I feel like the teacher. Like I like the kid, but they're really not doing that good. So I give them a C-. I give them a C- here. We're going to get you through the class. We're going to get you a pass and keep moving on. There was some positives for Bryce Young yesterday, right? I think when you've got a guy coming back in, completions, those kind of things, maybe it's something to build on for them. Problem is they're not very good.
Chiefs and Raiders kept it a little bit close. Another interception thrown by Patrick Mahomes, but still undefeated are KC. So where are they?
Till you lose, you're getting A's, right? When you won 13 in a row, I don't know. I think we'd all like to see them kind of blowing teams out and maybe making these games a little less competitive, but they continue to win. And at the end of the day, that's the name of the game. And so they get an A for me.
Gardner Minshew steps right back in, and the Raiders land where?
I give him a C. There's been a lot of movement in that building. Gardner Minshew back in. He didn't play all that great, but he did make some good throws. So disappointing. They've been pretty competitive against the Chiefs in the past, but that's a C performance for me.
Speaking of finishing off the Bears, I think this morning they could have woke up with an A, but where they sit for you after what we saw those final moments?
I agree. Outside of listen, it was a back and forth game, and I think a good defensive battle. But outside of the last two plays, it probably is an A, right? But I put them down to a B plus. I thought that was a really competitive game, fun to watch, really good defensive battle until the last two plays, and that's got to be a heartbreaker for the Bears. You've got to execute in those situations. I disagree with giving up the out route right there, the play before the Hail Mary. I think you've got to force them into a super long throw or turn it into kind of the Stanford band on the field or whatever, that kind of play. So B plus from Chicago. Disappointing, probably heartbreaking. Hopefully it doesn't lead to a hangover for them, because I thought for the most part they played really competitive.
So B plus for the Bears. Commanders has to be greater.
Yeah, I mean, it's an A. Anytime you hit the walk-off Hail Mary, it's an A performance. Defense, the Commanders' defense looks good, right? And I thought that was the story for them in the game yesterday. Offensively, settling for field goals early. You've got to be able to punch the ball in when you get chances and score touchdowns to finish off good teams. But they've got something going for them right now, right? They've got this belief. Jaden Daniels has instilled this belief inside the organization that they're going to find a way. Beautiful throw, unbelievable catch. So that's an A.
49ers finding a way to still win despite missing pieces and getting a big game from George Kittle. So where are they sitting?
I thought it was a B+. I thought that was a good, strong performance from them. Ayuk out. You've got Debo coming off pneumonia. I was kind of coming into this game thinking, who are they going to throw it to? Kittle had kind of been quiet. Kittle played great last night. I really thought Brock Purdy and his legs, though, were the difference maker, right? It was some of those runs that he had that kept them moving. And then you saw kind of these explosive pass plays afterwards. Good win. They needed it. That's a B+ for me.
Cowboys made it competitive at least, but just couldn't get that one final drive that they needed. Did they get a boost at all because of at least making it close?
Yeah, I mean, it's a B-. Like, I look at San Francisco, and I still think they're a good football team, even though they're sitting at 4-4. But Dallas, that was disappointing that they couldn't get it done. But I agree with you. I think there are positives to draw from that game for them. So I give them a B-.
All right, not bad, Professor. We got A++ for the Browns. We got an F for the Jets. The kid in the back, the Panthers picking his nose. C- is not bad. There is promise there as always. Matt Ryan will dial it up for us each and every Monday. Appreciate it, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Don't forget, you can catch him on Sundays at 12 Eastern on CBS. NFL Today, the fellas always dialing it up with good conversation. That will continue into Week 9, as always, on CBS.